On today's show, TV guy Greg David joins us to talk about the hottest holiday programming, including the deal with Netflix's Hot Frosty. Isn't that funny? I just found out about cold chocolate. Serve me up a cup, will you? Let's get started.
This is Kelly and Company.
So while you're settled in with your hot chocolate, cold chocolate, whatever your choice is, folks, remember you can email us, kellyco@ami.ca. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you can leave a message. Maybe we can even play it on air at 1-866-509-4545, 1-866-509-4545. Nazreen Abdal-Majid, welcome to the program, our technical producer who's got lots of work for us later on in the show. Welcome.
Happy Friday.
Glad to have you with us. And Niz, we're setting up for an amazing conversation to lead the show off. When you think about Christmas time, you think of a choir, an orchestra, singers, actors, dancers. Man, there's a lot here. Acrobats. Well, I don't know if I think of them necessarily for Christmas, but okay. And a 10-story tall Christmas tree that seats, get this, 100 people. This is a holiday tradition in Vancouver's lower mainland. The Broadway Church's Singing Christmas Tree is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. This is really amazing to think about. And I'm correcting myself, 55th. I am shortchanging them. Clement Chou joins us from Vancouver to line this thing up. So, folks, I said hot chocolate, but you know what? It's that time of season, December 1st around the corner. Grab your eggnog as well. Clement, thanks for being with us. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you on. Now, you're out in Vancouver, so I'm still saying good morning. For those who are catching us in East, saying, well, hold on a second. What is the Singing Christmas Tree other than what I described? Because, man, it's a little hard for me to picture this thing, quite frankly. And how do you participate?
Yeah.
So the singing Christmas tree is it's a tradition that has been in Vancouver for, as you said, the past 55 years or so, and it's actually a singing Christmas tree. It's a Christmas tree structure. It's like a scaffolding that's decorated on the outside to look like a singing Christmas tree, or well, look like a Christmas tree. And on the inside, you have 100 or so people who actually stand. We don't sit. We stand on boxes so that our heads come above the edges at the sides of the scaffolding, and so we stand there and we sing, accompanied by an orchestra, and usually to a drama set piece. So there are performers, and also we have dancers and acrobats, as you already mentioned, and sometimes other performers depending on the year.
Are they involved on the tree, at the base of the tree? The when I say that, the acrobatists, the actors. Obviously, I'm assuming the choir's down. The choir, excuse me, the orchestra is down below.
So the orchestra is down below, and so is everyone else, except for the acrobats, who are sometimes up top, sometimes on the ground, and sometimes, both, depending on the year and depending on the show. So typically, the choir is about 110 people, and we all stand inside the tree. And there are also sometimes solo numbers or ensembles that come from below as well on stage.
Now, I described that thing. So how high would the highest choir singer be? Like, would they be higher up, or are they two kind of closer to the bottom if they go up a little bit? Or are they all
So,
over?
as you said, it is a 10-story tree. So it's just about, I would say it's about, oh my gosh. I don't know exactly how many feet up it would be, but it's pretty much up to the ceiling of the church. And
Yeah.
considering it's a pretty big church, it's pretty tall. And I have had the privilege of being up on top, right where the star
Wow.
would typically be on the tree. Um,
Whoa.
and so it's
Are you scared of heights?
I am not, thankfully.
Thankfully.
But
Wow.
so
But
and
do they
that's
worry
one of
getting
the
you up there,
reasons.
Clement? Like with being blind, I'm not sure how much vision you have, if any. Is that a bit of a challenge where people at
So
first may have said, I think we'll start you at the bottom?
well, it is funny because the first couple of years it actually was a challenge, and and it was a concern for some people, and they said, well, we don't know if it's possible for you to be in the tree because you know it requires climbing up ladders and things, and I was like, well, can we at least try it and see? And so they kind of put me up halfway, up in the fifth or sixth row or somewhere like that. And the fortunate thing is, one, it's in the dark, and two, it's a straight climb up anyway, so there's nowhere to get lost, and you can't really, you know, unless your footing slips, which could happen to anyone, sighted or not. And I'm totally
That's right.
blind, so
Hmm.
the dark isn't a problem.
Nope.
And so I started on the fifth or sixth row, and then a few years in, they just decided, hey, do you want to be on top? And I was like, sure. And that's where I've typically been for the past few times I did it.
Nazreen, would you be worried climbing up like that? Do you have a little fear
I
of
don't have
heights?
a fear of heights, but just the idea of standing still the whole time and not moving an inch,
Yeah,
it
it
scares
is pretty
me.
long. It is about an hour and a half, so you have to stand there
Oh
for
boy.
that amount
No,
of
and
that whole
I'm
time.
fiddly. I fidget a
Wow.
lot. Yeah,
Wow. And
that's a problem.
I'm assuming lots of lights and everything like that in the dark in church, so it truly is that Christmas tree.
Yes, it is. It is magical. One of the things that I always love is, the first song, the whole tree lights up and the curtains go up, and all you can hear the crowd going, "Wow!" Because that's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
what they expected to see. Because there is a pre-show where they do some entertainment and some more interactive stuff with the audience, and then the lights darken when the tree is being loaded, as the orchestra plays the first song. So when it opens up and everyone just sees 100 odd people standing there, and their heads uh kind of sticking over the edge of the scaffold. I've been told it looks kind of creepy if you're not used to it,
Yeah.
because it looks like a bunch of floating heads, but it is very
Wow.
cool, and it's a very it's spectacular, and
Do you
it's one of the
make the
highlights
climb
always.
during the beginning, or like are you guys in the tree as audiences come? No, I guess you're not because you'd even be standing even longer than if the audience was filing in. I take it you guys go up the tree when the orchestra is doing that first song, or how does that work?
Yes, so right around the end of the first song, is when we will start climbing the tree typically. Um,
Nice.
No, sorry, not end of the first song. The end of the pre-show, is
Right.
when we start climbing the tree. That first song is really for the orchestra to be showcased, and as well it serves as a choir loading song, so that we can get in there while the crowd's attention is focused on the orchestra.
Okay. Sound wise, singing in a different place when you were up there by the star. Um, what's that like to stay to follow along? Is there challenges when it comes to that because everybody is all over the tree? How do they section that off? Where bass, sopranos, so on.
Yeah, so they section everyone based on, which vocal range you have, like a typical choir. The difficulty, of course, is that, the only people you can hear are people who are beside you, because everyone else is
Right.
either above you or below, and so you can't actually hear other singers very much. Unless you're like me and have a very obnoxiously loud voice, uh, then some people would say, then all I can hear is Clement. And
Beautiful.
but it is very cool to be up there because, you get to it's weird because you only hear a lot of yourself, but you also get to hear the orchestra from way down below. And as of course, as a totally blind member of the choir, that's really the only perception of height that we have. But it is super super cool.
Oh
Or
man.
not the only perception, but one thing that kind of really puts it into perspective as to how high up we are. And there are monitors behind us, so we can hear the orchestra fine, the actors fine. And so, sound wise, it's definitely a very unique perspective to sing from. It's very different from typically, being on risers, or even in a choir gallery and stuff like that.
Yeah. And all volunteer driven when it comes to those in the tree, really tremendous. And Fedora's off for you guys. I guess there's about 10 shows in December. Is that right?
Yes, so typically the tree takes over the first full weekends of December. So this year it's going to be running from December 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the weekend after that, so the 13th, 14th, and 15th. And the way it usually works is there's one evening performance on the Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday there is a matinee and an evening performance on each day.
Okay. Free tickets, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a listen. And if we haven't, kind of got your curiosity up or interest in this, well, let's see what we can do here. Let's have a listen to the choir in the tree, 10 stories. Man, that is some sound. I love it.
I
That is just
I
tremendous.
gotta agree with you. The floating heads do seem a little creepy if you just see the floating heads. But it is amazing. You could see the details that you guys put into this show and the amount of practice. Like I can't imagine how much you guys have practiced to make this work. Like
Right.
it shows that there's so much effort being put into this and it looks amazing. I would want to attend.
Clement, this is beautiful. Thank you.
No, thank you for the opportunity to come on and share some of the experience I've had. I've been part of the tree for not 8 consecutive years, but I've been part of the tree since 2011, on and off, and it's always such a wonderful experience.
Is this your first year sitting and enjoying it in the audience?
No, so I
No.
was in the tree from 2011 to 2017, and then I took a
Okay.
break for a couple years, and then the pandemic happened, and then I was in the tree last year. So I've
Awesome.
sat out and kind of been able to sit in the audience a couple times. But it truly it's very different from being in the tree, but both are equally amazing and just a wonderful way to celebrate Christmas.
Oh man, fantastic. That is great. Now we know the tickets go really fast. I mean, one year they got all scooped up in 6 hours. So Clement, thank you kindly.
No, thank you very much. And as a last tip, I will say that even if tickets are completely sold out and they aren't available, you actually can still attend. There is a standby line for people who don't have tickets who can show up and have a chance of getting in once all the ticketed seats have been scanned and filled.
All right. Appreciate it. This sounds so cool. Also, folks, I want to throw to Edmonton, Alberta, December 3rd. If you're there, check this out. International Day of People with Disabilities celebration. The NDP caucus will host a celebration highlighting the accomplishments of Albertans with disabilities, their allies, NGOs, service providers, academics, and families. This celebration with light refreshments, performance, and speeches from the community. This is December 3rd, 2024. 6 p.m. Mountain Time at the Queen Elizabeth II building. So you can register online. You can do it at albertasfuture.ca. Okay, so that was tremendous, Nisreen. Thank you for the description too there, as Clement said about the being kind of creepy. Greg David was hanging out and observing this as well. Greg, have you ever heard of this or been a part of something similar?
Yeah, I'm glad that Nazreen described it because that was my reaction was it is definitely creepy to see just rows and rows of heads in a tree. And it
Yeah.
reminded me of while Clement was talking about this singing tree on the west coast, in the east coast of Canada is Woody the talking tree at the Micmac Mall. And it is truly creepy. It is a multi-story Christmas tree that has a massive plastic head in the middle of it. It's an
Oh,
animated head with a moving mouth, and it delights people, but it also freaks them out. It's been up in the Micmac Mall since the 80s. It took a little time off, but yeah, a big plastic talking head in the middle of a tree, that would be creepy as well.
yeah. Yeah. Does it this read does it bother you when you think of Christmas stuff like this, and then, you throw in, "Well, that's kinda creepy." Like, I mean, I know it's all to our own opinion, but we think of movies where you have killer Santa Clauses and weird stuff like that, and then you think, "Well,
Yeah.
that's so great," but what does it do to the kids or to the families, especially a talking
Right.
tree or floating heads?
Yeah, a lot of people think it's offensive to take a toll like that, especially when they make horror movies about, the Christmas time or during the holidays. It's just wrong. I don't know.
Oh,
For
nursery
me,
rhymes.
I I
Yeah.
I don't celebrate Christmas, but from, looking from the sidelines, I feel like it looks wrong from my point of view. But no, it's honestly so beautiful. Just looking at the floating heads, it looked odd, but because I envisioned it right when he described it, I envisioned full body, just
Yeah.
standing on the tree. And by the way, it looked amazing, but the
I
spotlights
bet the
were on
tree's
their
beautiful.
faces, so it
Yeah.
looks like their faces are glowing. They look like ornaments on the tree,
Mhm.
which is absolutely fantastic. Like, but just the way that the heads were moving and it's just glowing on their faces, it does kind of look a little bit creepy, but um still beautiful at the same
I
time,
love it.
if it
And
makes
and it's
sense.
not intentional either thing that we've
Of
mentioned
course, yeah.
being creepy, of course, folks. It's just kind of the way we take certain things. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly and Co. AMI. And speaking of, Nisreen's got some poll results for us that will lead us into our conversation with Greg that we're going to be having when we have our TV chat, hottest holiday programming. Greg, our communication specialist here at AMI, joins us to talk about everything TV and entertainment. With December coming next week, he's in the holiday spirit and wanting to tease up a little bit of holiday Christmas TV specials, concerts, movies. So, Greg, this is going to start with us with the poll that we put out yesterday. What did we do, Nisreen, out on Twitter or
Yeah.
X?
So we posted a Twitter poll yesterday asking you guys what type of holiday programming do you prefer to watch? And the options we gave you was holiday cartoons, Hallmark movies, holiday concerts, or classic films. And we got several votes here. 38% picking holiday cartoons, 25% for Hallmark movies, 13% for holiday concerts, and 24% for classic films. We also got a reply from Annette Dennis saying that my mom is not on X, but her votes would be Hallmark movies and classic films. So, uh, 38% for holiday cartoons. That definitely won. And I have throwbacks of different cartoons that I used to watch, like Arthur, and I used to get so excited about those holiday specials.
Well, Rumya wanted the ones, Greg, that are part of TV series, like the Friends Christmas special, the Gilligan's Island Christmas, Dukes of Well, she didn't name those
Yeah.
ones, of course, but the episodes within series, she thought, gosh, couldn't we have a section there? I went for the holiday music, Greg, and I don't know if it's because I'm older and have seen the heck out of so many of these cartoons and things like that, and some of the specials. I'm not really big on the Hallmark stuff. I've the repetitive same storyline theme
hmm
just
hmm
doesn't keep me going.
Yeah,
So I
it's too
kind of
predictable.
yeah, and I mean the music, I'm not a musician, I'm a terrible singer, but for some reason at Christmas time, that is the one thing that makes me feel the season is here.
Yeah, I agree with you. And PBS is actually a great source for that. As they get closer to Christmas, they start to air more and more of the choir specials where they're singing traditional hymns, but also newer music as well. And yeah, that's become popular at my house too. I mean, Christmas for me is always going to be the cartoons, the cartoons that I grew up watching. But the other thing is, like, while I agree with you about the Hallmark movies and how the sameness, there's a little bit of comfort in there, knowing that
Tons of
that's
it.
what the storyline is going to be. But then
Yeah.
also, what I enjoy is when you would do a twist on the genre, which we're going to talk
Mm.
about in a minute, because this project that I'm going to talk about has become the hottest, biggest thing that anybody has ever talked about with regard to the quote unquote Hallmark themed movie.
Hmm. And it's interesting because, as you say, comfort. Everything at Christmas, we tend to go for that comfort, the stuff we like, we've been talking about, really since the beginning of the show with Clement, and whether it's hot chocolate or eggnog, everything.
Hmm.
I mean, like candy canes, all that stuff is all part of what makes Christmas for us. Okay, so usually you join us to talk about the holiday program, and we kind of get this yearly tradition with you done. This year, you want to talk about Netflix's newest movie, Hot Frosty.
Yeah.
What's the
So
attention this is getting on social media all about?
yeah, it's pretty incredible because when I first started to see reviews about it, people were saying, it's kind of it's so bad it's good. But then the reviews changed and people were saying, actually, this is a legitimately good holiday movie. It's called Hot Frosty, and the synopsis is pretty easy. There's a little bit of a play on words here. Like Hallmark TV movies, there is a woman in a small town, and in this case, it's Lacey Chabert, who plays a widow named Kathy Barrett, and she owns a small cafe in a small town. And she's still dealing with grief in her life, and she is given a scarf, a magic scarf, and she goes out into the town square and she puts this scarf on a Frosty the Snowman. There's a snowman building contest that's going on in the town. And she picks this handsome looking snowman. It's not your traditional Frosty, right? I mean, with the three balls and the corncob pipe. He's
Right.
legitimately ripped. And so she puts the scarf on him, and then magically overnight he comes to life. And so there's a lot of humor around it. When Frosty comes to life, he's naked except for the scarf. So, but and he doesn't know what clothes are, and then he has to find some clothes. And the snowman, who ends up, his name is Jack, is played by Dustin Milligan, who was on Schitt's Creek. He played the veterinarian Ted on Schitt's Creek, so people will recognize him from that. Craig Robinson is involved in this. Jolo Trigulio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is in this. Lauren Hawley
No way.
is involved. And yeah, and like, so, you've got what you could say is a high B to low A cast involved in this show. You have these tweaks in the holiday, Hallmark movie kind of genre, and it's just really a lot of fun, and they're legitimate laugh out loud moments. And I've been spreading the word about this amongst the folks at AMI, kind of in meetings and things like that, and then people have said, yeah, I watched it and I had a lot of fun, or I watched it with my girlfriends and we loved it. So yeah, it's Hot Frosty. It's available on Netflix, so that the described video or the AD is going to be really good for it. And it's got a little Canadian content, because in addition to some of the cast members, it was filmed in and around Ottawa, and the town square is actually Brockville, Ontario's town square.
Man, that's really interesting. When you look at, because again, I like how you kind of went from the B rating to kind of a low A, because I
Yeah.
think we accept the Hallmark stuff as that B because it's the same storyline. They're done quickly,
Mhm.
like those kinds of movies are produced so fast, and they're what they're supposed to be. Here you elevate it with the celebrities and everybody that you kind of have in this, which is really, really kind of interesting. Really interesting to spread, especially Greg, when you go in saying, okay, is that what this is gonna be about? And are pleasantly surprised like you must have been.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that was the thing. It's been a guilty pleasure to watch the traditional holiday TV movie. And so with this being the twist, and like I say, that the cast, it just ended up being a lot of fun. And there's some little Easter eggs to Lacey Chabert's past in it. There's a funny moment involving cookie making. And so yeah, there's definitely some double entendres as well. But like, I would say that you could sit down and watch this with your family, because it's fun and funny.
Okay. All right. You, speaking of the family stuff, do you want to talk a little bit about Greg's classic cartoons?
Sure, absolutely. Now that we're just Thanksgiving took place in the U.S. yesterday. Now it's full bore with the holiday programming. CBC is going to have all of the classic specials and movies throughout the month of December. But I did want to highlight that if you're checking out the U.S. networks, next Thursday, December the 5th on CBS is going to be How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 1966, followed by the animated classic Frosty the Snowman, and then Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, another classic, on Friday, December the 6th. Now, there will be encores of these, but I wanted to let people know kind of the first run. And these are kind of the ones that I always think about when I think about the holidays, and CBS has the rights to broadcast these. They will also be available on CBC, but you can check them out on CBS first. And then, or sorry, excuse me, I just said that was CBS, but it's actually NBC that has the rights to all of those. And then the other network that Kelly has all of the rights to the classics, as well as some really great themed episodes, is Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which will be on ABC next Tuesday. And then you mentioned Ramya liking holiday episodes of shows. Abbott Elementary, which has become a big hit for ABC in the
Hmm.
sitcom
Yeah.
vein, is going to have a couple of holiday episodes on December the 3rd, after Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And then I wanted to throw this out here because, Kelly, I always talk about movies and concerts and things like that, but Wednesday, December the 25th, Christmas Day, is the NBC or NBA basketball,
Oh yeah.
all day long, and you're a
All day
basketball
long.
fan. So is this something that you get excited about and
Yep.
marks the holidays for you?
Yeah, that's often how I'll spend it. I'm glad, especially when they kicked the New York Knicks off, which used to be the first game, and they were so lousy, they took them out of there because it was ridiculous to have the day start with them. But it's New York now, and I looked at the schedule, but I can't remember what it is for that day. But I think now they're even more and more competing with football as it gets streamed on that day as well. So we're finding that being the big thing, Greg, that you're going to find creeping into Netflix and Amazon Prime. Everything sports as these guys try to get it right and figure it out until we get ESPN direct to streaming, which is around the corner. Not sure that'll be around the corner here. How much our sports people here will fight it, but there is just tons of this now going on, leaving people so many crazy choices. But yeah, that is my Christmas little. Ooh, my NBA basketball, yay for
Well, you
sure.
can skip the noon game because it's actually San Antonio at the New York Knicks. So if you're
Yeah,
not into the
no.
Knicks, you can you can skip that noon game and go right to the 2:30 one.
Yeah, they're better than they used to be. Now, are you a candy cane fan, Greg?
I like spearmint more than I like peppermint, but
Me too.
I do enjoy a candy
What?
cane, and I love that story. So I think I'm going to appreciate them a lot more because they've become underappreciated by me and in my
Yeah.
household.
Water cooler talk. Niz, how about you?
So underrated. I agree. I love peppermint. Anything peppermint related, that's my go-to. And that's what I get excited about, the festivity of it all. I got the
Mhm.
Nespresso pods of peppermints. I got it all now.
See, we were talking about the pumpkin pies, Greg, and pumpkin overall, and people disliking that, or "Ugh, I don't want that
Mm,
there, or I wouldn't like candy canes. I feel kind of the same. I'm not a big fan of the mint, but a candy cane, yeah, especially right off a Christmas tree when you'd go to somebody's and they'd say, "Hey," when I was a kid, do you want a candy cane? They just walked over to the tree and took it off of there. And to me, that was the
no
greatest.
way.
Or my mom would get me the 2 foot long ones that were thick, had the big hook on the end that you'd get all excited. You'd take out, and this was the days, Nazreen, where you'd unwrap it, suck on it,
Where
lick
do
on
you
it for a
find
bit, wrap it
those?
back up. I don't know, man, because I think they became one of those things where, yeah, but you can't eat it all in one full, so you're licking
Who
on it and then
says?
wrapping it back up. Maybe a health thing. It's dirty. Maybe that's what their
Ugh,
view was. It's dirty, and it's like, ew, wow, whoa.
yeah.
But I kind of was that kid who just really, when it came to peppermint overall, except when it came to Christmas. And Greg, what was your favorite? Just the little candy cane, or did you like the big ones too? Do you remember those ones?
Yeah, I remember the big ones. We never had the big ones. We would ask for them, but we would never get them. I like the regular ones, but then I would always look forward to the little ones that would be taped to a present. But to be honest with
Yeah.
you, my favorite mint thing that we would have when I was a kid were the After Eight mints that came in the little
Oh
paper
gosh,
sleeve.
yeah,
Oh
I
my
yeah,
mean, they
God,
still have
yes.
them
yeah.
today, so I'm not
They
describing
do.
anything that nobody's ever
No.
heard of. But those used to be my favorite because they would come in the paper sleeve and you'd slide it out and it was perfect and then you would
Yeah.
eat it. So that's my
So
favorite
Yeah.
mint thing at
delicious.
I
holidays.
would
Yeah,
get those at home for sure. Greg, thanks a lot. We're out of time. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
sounds great. Thanks, Cal.
Remember to check out our podcast from our podcatcher of choice, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a rating and review while you're in there. On the next show, Michael Babcock is back to join Nazreen, Rumya, and I, talking back to basics and how to get started with our devices. Plus, Matisse Hamonellis will share how to celebrate the holidays in inclusive ways, from partying to social media messaging. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's your time. Get out of here, will ya?
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.